Well, today I'd like to show you something I've been doing for quite a while. I've never really shown it on video before because I usually just come out here and whip these things out. But today I'm going to show you how I make an arrowhead necklace. Now I like to start out by using a nice flake. This is one I chipped off here a little while ago when I was making dovetail out of a beautiful piece of Flintridge Chalcedony. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out, just do a little chipping on this. Gotta get rid of the thinnest areas and get this in the shape of a triangular form, maybe a lozenge shape. But you see, I'm just taking little flakes off the edge. I'm using antler tying with a copper nail that I have adjustable in there, and I have a leather pad to protect my hand. So let me get to work on this here. It's just shearing away some of the thin edge here because it's just too thin to work with, and it doesn't take long really to get this to shape up here. So let me just keep working on it. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Just kind of catching the edge and snapping the flakes inward. So already we're getting kind of in a nice shape. So let me get back when I get a little further along, because I don't want to bore you with just every single flake that comes off this flake to make the necklace point. And we'll finish it up with the notches and get ready to haft it onto a small piece of wooden shaft. So I'll be back. Okay, a little more of a close-up there. Really pretty stone, and I'm hoping this doesn't break and get too small, so I will be back. Okay, as you can see, I've pretty well got this trimmed down into a nice thin little preform. And what I need to do now is to put the notches in and get this point ready for tying onto a small piece of arrow shaft. So let me get those notches in. What I like to do is I like to pick a spot on the side here and just carve out a little area. And then flip it over. Do this exact same thing over here. And this is where our notch is going to go, right here, on each side. And before I start, I just push a flake in there. You saw how I did that. And that thins this area right here, so that when I go to put another tool in there, I've got a thinner blade I'm going to put in there. It'll make a nice narrow notch. This is a tool I've got where I've taken a copper nail and I've pounded it out flat. And that works really well for getting in there nice and tight because it's very thin and flat. So I'm just chopping away here, pushing in these flakes and forming the notch area. See, I'm just kind of taking little pieces at a time. You don't want to get too crazy because you can easily break the point right here doing this, so got to really focus and make sure that you don't put any pressure in areas that you don't want to have it break. This notch is just about done. Okay, and I went in there nice and thin. Okay, so there's our first notch. How well you can see that. And hopefully, if all goes well, I'll repeat that over here, opposite of the one I just created. You notice I flip over the piece once I've raised the edge in the notch area up as high as I can get it, so that when I flip it over, it's now the lowest point. and it makes the flake come off a lot easier. And we almost got this one in there. Take a look at it and see if the notches look somewhat even. Just touch this one up just a little bit more here. So now we have two pretty good notches so that I'm able to tie that on. Now what I want to do is I want to shape the base just a little bit, because you want this area here to be nice and thin, so that when you put your haft in there, tie your wooden piece in there, it'll be very narrow. So I'm just kind of cleaning up the edge of the base, and I'm gonna put a little indent in here just so that that the point will go up into the arrow shaft, just like if you were making an arrow to shoot. You want to thin this area out just a little bit. So that's looking pretty good. A little bit of a high spot over here. There we go. And you can see that took that right out. So now we got a really neat little point that we can make a necklace out of. So I'll get back and I'll show you the next step of the process. Okay, and now I have a piece of, which would be like an arrow shaft. It's a dowel actually, and I like to treat this. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to burn it a little bit with the torch. Now while it's hot, I like to rub just a little bit of beeswax into that, and that seals up the wood. Okay, I use beeswax for everything. Now you just rub that, and then you determine how long you want this little piece to be, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be fitting this arrow point right onto there, sort of like you see right there. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off. This is nothing more than just take a hacksaw, cut off the length you want, and then cut a little V groove in there to fit the arrowhead in. So I'll be back once I've got that piece made. Okay, I've now finished cutting a little groove in that piece, and you notice also I drilled a hole in there and I cut this off. So now what you need to do is you need to sand all this a little bit, get away any of the loose pieces of wood, sand around the holes, and get this ready to be tied on. Okay. And also you need to make sure that it's going to fit the arrowhead you made. So here's the arrowhead. Let's see how it goes. Boy, it slides right on there nice. Try it either way. Looks like it's going to be a good fit, nice and tight. That's what you want. So there is what it looks like before you tie it on there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of imitation sinew. That's what this is right here, and it really works well because it's a nylon string that has beeswax impregnated into it. And let's see, I need a sharp object. Let's try the arrowhead, see if that'll cut it. Oh yeah, no problem whatsoever. Now I did dull that arrowhead up too, so that it could be worn. And what we need to do now is to get ready to wrap this. So I'll be right back when I'm all set to start the wrap. Okay, what I like to do before I even wrap this is I like to put a little spot of an all-purpose glue on these, just because the wrap can come loose if it's worn a lot, and I find that this helps a lot to keep the arrowhead secure. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sinew and put it through like this. Then I slide the arrowhead on. Make sure it fits just perfect. I like this way. And if any excess glue gets on the piece, just wipe that off. Now I'm going to wrap it. And you'll notice I have a piece that's hanging down. So I'll wrap it around that, through the notch, across like this, over, around. Hope you can see how I'm doing that. Make sure you get a good wrap around the center here, and then come down below it, and then wrap around the stem up to the hole, and then wrap your way back. And this gives it a traditional looking wrap. Now to finish that off, what I like to do is I'll cross over and then pull the string through like this and give that a tug. That kind of locks that in. Now I ground all this area in the base and in the notches beforehand, because if I was to pull that and that was still real sharp, it would cut the wrap. So make sure that if you make your arrowhead that you grind that area really good. Okay, so now all I have to do is just trim this off. Trim off the little extra pieces here, and we'll finish up and we'll make this necklace look really good. And I'm going to make our own cord next, and I'm going to show you how I make the cord. So when it comes to making cord, if you don't want to make it, you can buy it, and it kind of gets expensive. But what I've done is I've taken a piece of deerskin, cut it in the shape of a circle, and then cut a circle in the middle. Now you do that by, when you cut your circle, then you fold it over like this, and then you just kind of nip off the end in a quarter of a circle fashion, and then when you unfold it, you have a circle. So this is the tool I like to use. This is a Tandy cord cutter, and it works really good for cutting cord. So what you do is you get it started by placing the cord cutter in the hole, and you pick out the size you want to use, and then you just start turning it until you see a little bit of the leather come through, like you see here. Just got a little bit right there poking through. Now you just pull the leather. As you see, there's a razor blade in this handle, and it continues to cut one long strand of deerskin cord. Now I've always done it this way since I've had a cord cutter. I get bulk deer leather. You know, when I find a thicker hide, I really like that because that makes the best cord. And you just continue to pull until it runs out. Now if I didn't get this exactly perfect circle, and you can see it's going to go around maybe one more time, and then it's going to cut it. There it goes. There we are. And that's all the waste that I had right there. So, out of that, I have all this wonderful cord. One continuous length of deerskin cord. So, what we're going to do is we're going to determine how long we want the cord to be. And what I do is I usually just I'll take that beeswax and I'll actually use that to coat this, because there are a little bit of fibers and things in it. So let's start at the other end where I started the cord initially. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to wrap it around my neck and leave it about, let's see, about this long, right down about there. And then I'll just cut this off right here. And let me see, I think I got a flake over here that might do the job. Here's a nice sharp flake, and we will use it to cut our leather. if I don't cut me first. And there you go. See, that was my knife. Just a raw flake. And I'll save the rest of this cord. I'll wrap it up in a spool. And I now like to take a piece of beeswax and I run it on here. Okay, you can see I'm just going to pull it along the beeswax on the softer side where it's more fibrous. Let's get a good start here. There we go. If I can get it to go. It's kind of fighting me now. There we go. Let's tip this back down a little bit more. There we go. So you can see that better. Okay, once again. Okay, so now this is all waxed and all that little fibrous stuff will stop kind of fraying off there. And what we do next is to take the end, try to put a little bit of a slant in it, and see if you can work that through the hole that you have in the necklace. Now if that doesn't go, you have to cut that a little finer. So let me see if I can get a little sharper edge on that so it'll fit in there better. Okay, cut that with the blade, and now you can see I've got a much finer edge. So let's push that through there. Yeah, there we go. And now we have our cord going through our necklace. So the next thing I want to do before I finish this up, look at that. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? I'm going to go get some beads, and we're going to put the beads on there, and we're going to tie this off, and this necklace will be done. It doesn't take all that long to make one. The hardest part is to chip out the arrowhead, and that really only took about 10-15 minutes. So I'll be right back. Okay, this is the last part of the project to finish this necklace up. So what I've done is I've selected some beads that I like. You know, I'm trying to match them up with the color of the point, and I like to put a central bead on here that ties everything together. Let's see if we can get this thing threaded on here. Sometimes you have to use a needle or something to poke through to get them to start, but let's see if this one will. Okay. Alrighty. So, got a blue bead because there is some blue in this stone, and let's see if we can pull it right down through there once I get a hold of it. Okay. Okay, what I want to do is I want to use this as my center. Line everything up here real good. Okay. Okay. So, got this bead on there now, and what we'll do is we will put a pattern of beads on here. I'm going to use a kind of a yellow bead here with a couple reds, because there is a little bit of reddish color in this stone, and there's kind of a milky white, so we'll also use that. So this will be one side of the necklace. I'll bring that down so you can see we got half of it. I'll do the same pattern on the other side. And a couple of these nice little red beads. These are glass beads, by the way. I don't use anything but glass. I don't like plastic beads because I'm using deerskin, stone. I do have imitation sinew, but I think the glass beads really do give it a little more of a fine touch. So now we have this. What I like to do so the beads don't slide around is to put a knot right at the beginning of the beads here. And it holds everything in place. So we'll do the same over here. And we are just about done. So now, as you see, we've got a really nice looking necklace here. I will tie up here on the top just kind of a square knot. And I'll leave a little extra on there just because you might want to adjust it. And I'm going to try it on, put it on, so see if it fits me. Get my glasses off here. There we go. So there it is. There's the finished necklace. And you saw just how it was made. So, I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope that you learned something from this. It's a fun project, and I really do like making these, and they're kind of a fun special little gift you can give somebody, and it's a good use of leftover materials. So thanks again for watching, and if you make a necklace, I'd like to see what you do, and I hope this inspired you to do so. Take care, have a great day, and there will be more.